So Gary, you're doing drone racing now. You used to be in video games, right? What made you transition to drone racing?
There wasn't really a transition from gaming to drone racing. I kind of stopped gaming when I have a family, when I got a family. And then I found saw some videos online and set myself a goal of spending 20 hours on something different. And I saw a few videos of drone racing, and I wanted to try it. So I just bought myself a small little drone, flew that around the house, and then after like a week of flying that, I knew that I wanted to do more. I wanted to do what I could see in the YouTube video. So I did a bit of research and worked out how to build my own drone. It's pretty scary when all the parts turn up and you have to build it and you have no idea what you're doing. But yeah, so I built my own drone and yes.
Just looking at YouTube videos.
Just looking at YouTube videos, yeah. But back then when I started about 2 years ago, there wasn't many tutorials of how to put together your own drone. Mm-hmm. Now there's hundreds of them. How the sport's growing so quick. Everybody wants to make.
When did you start?
So I started in March 2015. That was when I first started flying first-person view with the goggles and kind of racing. So yeah.
Tell us more about the sport. When did it start?
Oh, I think For me, it started when I watched a video of some guys in France. They were flying through a forest. I think this was before 2015, but they had LEDs on their quads and they were flying through the forest like the scene from Star Wars. You know, where they're in the Endor forest and they're flying between the trees. And I saw that video and I was like, that is the future. I've got to do that. So yeah, that's for me. That's where it started. I think it started in different places for different people, but for me, that's kind of what sticks in my mind as to where it came from.
Okay, so it's the future. Do you think drone racing will do for the development of drones what F1 racing does to cars?
At the moment, I think it's not quite at that level, but I think in the future it has a potential to be there. I mean, we're really, as drone racing pilots, we're really pushing the technology of the batteries, the motors, the speed controllers, all these things that we just want. Obviously, more reliable, more performance, all the same things that the F1 drivers want. So I hope in maybe a year's time or 2 years' time that we get to that level where the drone racing is pushing the drone technology as a whole.
So you make your own drones?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't just pick these drones off the shelves like some from makers?
No. You can pick up ready-to-fly drones off the shelf, and you can race them, but the performance isn't quite on the same level as when you build it yourself, and you build them very bespoke to how you want it to fly and the power that you want, and so yeah, it's quite a challenge. It's quite daunting initially when you get all the parts and you don't know what you're doing, but once you've built a few of them, I've got quite a few now, so once you've built a few, you just know what you're doing and it just comes more naturally.
So for example, you're starting out, you want to try drone racing, like how much would it cost for you to build
I think
drone,
if you're starting out, the best thing you can do is either buy a very small line of sight drone, not one with the FPV camera, just one that you can fly line of sight and see whether you like it and you can get a feel for it, and then progress from there. So you could then buy a transmitter and go on a simulator, because the simulators are quite realistic to how our real quads fly. They're not exactly the same, but it's a very good starting point, and it will save you so much money in the long run as well, because if you go out and you just buy your own drone or you build your own drone and then go out and fly it, there's a lot of crashing involved. You break a lot of things. But if you start on the simulator, you can kind of avoid a lot of that, and then just move on and just kind of gradually build up from there.
Do you have a ballpark figure for?
I think probably you can build your own drone. You can probably spend about 250 pounds to build your own drone. I don't know what that would be in euros. That's probably like 300 euros, I'd say. About that.
How big's the scene now in Europe?
In Europe, it's growing. Like every year, it's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, if in the UK, we used to only have last year we only had races in the south of England. There were some races up north, but it was mainly racing in the south. This year, there's racing all over the country. There are events. You can go to an event pretty much every other week if you want to, and that's just 1 year's growth. So I think if it continues like that, we're going to see a lot more drone racing in the future.
How's your China experience been so far?
Oh, it's been fantastic. It's my first time in China, my first time in Shanghai. Really enjoying it. It's very different to what I expected it to be. Actually, I don't know what I expected it to be, but it's very different. It feels good. There's a lot more people than I imagined there to be.
The venue's very big, right? Okay. So about the racing, tell us about the mechanics. Like, how do you win?
Well, I think when you see it on the screen and you watch people racing, you think that the fastest pilots must have the best reflexes and be very quick and be able to think very fast. But I think for a good drone racing pilot, they pick their lines and they understand the track, so they're thinking 1 or 2 turns ahead. So they're not actually reacting really quickly. They're just thinking. It's more of a muscle memory. And so I think to be a good drone racing pilot, I think you have to feel the track and have good muscle memory and just have a good feel for how the drone flies in the air and where you want to put it and looking beyond the next gate. I think that's what makes a good racing pilot.
How many laps do you have to go around? And if you miss the obstacle, is there a penalty?
Yeah, so here we've got, at this event specifically, we've got a very small track. It's actually very tiny for what we normally fly on. It's very difficult to pass other people, whereas normally we fly on a bigger track and you can have like 3 or 4 people going through the same gate, whereas here you're very lucky to get 2 people through the same gate. So it all depends. Here I think in qualifying we're doing 5 laps, just a timed 5 laps. In the UK, for instance, in the qualifying rounds we'll fly for 2 minutes, as many laps as we can fly in 2 minutes, and it's whoever gets the best time or the most amount of laps. And then we move into like a knockout stage after the qualifying, where we'll fly maybe 5 to 6 laps, and then the top 2 pilots will go through from each round until we get to the finals.
Always the best time.
Sorry?
It's always, they're looking for the best time.
Here it's the best 1 lap time. At most of the other events that we fly at, it's the best 3 consecutive laps. So they'll add your 3 best consecutive laps, and that will order you for going into the knockout stage.
What happens if you miss a ring?
If you miss a gate, you have to turn back for it.
If you don't, you're disqualified, or do they add time to your overall time?
It depends on the event, but normally they'll either disqualify you or they'll add time to your lap.
So I see a lot of crashes, right?
Yeah, like I said, this track here is very tight, especially for the drones that we're flying. We're flying drones that are 5-inch props, which is a normal size prop. But around this track, a lot of people have moved to smaller props, like 2 or 3 inch, just because the gates are so small. And the 5-inch props you have a lot more power. So on a small track, it becomes a little bit more difficult. But yeah, so
how fast do they go?
Oh, I
as fast as you want them.
Well, I think you can probably get them. I've seen people claim that they've done
the
speeds
drones here.
The drones here. My drone specifically, I was at an event in Holland recently, and they had a speed trap. And actually on the track, I think I did 137 kilometers an hour through the speed trap. But they will go faster, because that was actually on the racing circuit. If you were just doing a straight line speed test, I think you're going to get up to 150 kilometers an hour, maybe even higher than that.
Is there a world record right now for speed?
I don't think there is. Not a Guinness Book of World Records.
There's a goal.
But yeah, but I think well over 100 miles an hour is possible. Well over 100 miles an hour.
Last question. You were describing how it felt to be inside that. Inside those goggles, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Can you describe that to me?
So it's a strange feeling, because when you first put the goggles on, if you give them to somebody that's never flown before, it's almost like you're looking at a TV screen. But once you've flown for a week or a few days, you forget that you're looking at a screen, and it becomes your eyesight. So you forget about the controls. It's like when you get in a car and you go to drive somewhere, you're not thinking about driving the car, you're just thinking about where you're going and how you're going to get there. It's the same with drone racing. Once you put the goggles on and you're immersed in it, you're not thinking about the flying, you're just thinking about where you can go, what you can do. where you can explore, or the racing line, and you're just really just enjoying yourself. That immersive feeling, kind of, it's like you look at the world at the moment you look at a world in a flat perspective, and then once you've tried drone racing and you put the goggles on, your mind is just expanded to this new world. There's nothing like it. I can't stress to people how much fun it is. Once you know how to fly, like I say, your world is opened up. You think about things in a different way. You'll walk down the street and you'll see things that people wouldn't normally think about, and you think, I'd like to fly through that. I'd like to dive down that building. I'd like to skim under that bench, or yeah, your mind is just has a new outlook on life.
That sounds super awesome.
It is.
I want to try it for sometime soon. It sounds incredible. So thanks for this interview,
That's all right.
and good luck with the rest of the tournament.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Take care.